I was like, I want to meet somebody. I want to get back into dating, but I'm not sure. And just at this age, I'm probably going to meet some divorced woman with kids and all this baggage. And literally, like, she's like taking notes. And I said, I'm going to find someone with all this baggage. She like puts down her notes, takes off her glasses. She says, "I'm sorry, who has the baggage?" So
And the other woo-woo moment, since we were talking about how long it took to have that first date, on the way to that first date, I said, I think I'm about to meet my future husband.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had
wow.
never ever felt that way before. It was just sort of this,
Ooh.
and he appreciated that I proofread my emails.
yeah, the grammar and punctuation were spot on. Which matters. I hate to say it for me, and it matters
Matters
for
to
her
me.
too, right?
Are you a Virgo, John?
Yeah, maybe.
You are?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
I'm more attracted to him now than I was when we met 15
Same.
years ago.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
she's aging quite well.
And so he's been working out. And I
It's a
mean, we
long.
met when I was 44 and I had never been married. And, I had so many failed relationships. But when I look back at those, it's like, oh my God, thank God, that,
Uh-huh.
boy, dodged a bullet there.
Welcome back to another episode of Success Stories by the Conscious Dating Network. My name is Jill Crosby, and today I have the great pleasure of finally meeting and interviewing Lori and John. Hi, you guys.
Hello.
Hello.
You guys met, gosh, how long ago did you actually meet on the site?
October 2010.
Wow. Okay. So almost 15 years ago.
Almost 15 years
Yeah.
ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. And who contacted whom first, and what was it about their profile?
I think I contacted
You
first.
contacted me. I saw his profile, but I didn't reach out to him because I saw that he was a widower with two young sons. And I thought, I loved his profile, but I thought he's not going to have time for me. So the other two people that I matched with or that appealed to me, one was never married and one was divorced. So I reached out to them, even though it was his profile that really spoke to me. I think when you started looking, you expanded your,
I didn't find anybody, right? So I'm widowed with two kids, and I had been on a couple other dating sites just briefly. I was just like getting back into it, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't realize how much time dating actually took. So I was looking for people like within a 5 minute walk, basically, like who's really close by. And I just couldn't find anybody. And then somebody mentioned Green Singles, and I hadn't heard of it. So I checked it out, and I still couldn't find anybody in my little
within a mile.
mile, 5 miles. I forget like whatever the minimum radius was. I couldn't find anybody. And then just, I don't know, one night, maybe after a scotch or three, I was like, maybe let me look out 10 or 15 miles, and this one shows up. And
And you saw that I had looked at your profile, I think.
oh yeah, maybe that's right.
Yeah.
I can't remember how the site actually.
No, it's only 15 years ago. I don't
Yeah,
know why.
exactly.
Yes.
I think that's right. And so really good profile, well written, which stands out, honestly. And then a professional headshot for the like main profile picture. You could tell it was a pro took the shot. She had a picture of her in a bikini at what turned out to be a polar bear plunge with this guy standing next to her.
Captain
and
True Light.
with a cape. Like he looked like a really bad like Batman with a compact fluorescent bulb on his head, like this giant
Huge. It was
fake
huge.
CFL. And
And he had a couple he had like this tool belt with like two more right here.
I thought, all right, she can write a profile. great headshot. She looks hot in a bikini, and she's confident enough to post a picture with this
Crazy guy.
crazy guy with the CFL on his head. And I thought, I at least have to say hi. So
Yeah,
that's what I did.
yeah.
And I'd sort of like, I broke a rule I had, which was because I honestly, I felt guilty dating because it had been like 6 months and my wife, I was still in grief and all this stuff. And so I would put myself out there, but I wasn't going to like initiate. Somehow that made it okay for me, right?
Yeah.
Which as a guy, I quickly learned like, no.
You have to initiate.
You have to initiate, right? So I did. But it wasn't because of that necessarily, but you were worth saying hello to.
So you sent her an actual message and you wrote something. Did you like say something about her profile that caught your
I think
attention?
so.
Yeah.
I think I said,
He said, yeah, you really like my profile.
Uh,
Anybody who,
anybody's willing to post that picture of you in the bikini, I want to say
Yeah.
hi to. It's something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you complimented her chutzpah, kind of.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. Okay. And so that's interesting, John. So you were only 6 months widowed, felt a little guilty for even being on a dating site and then contacting women, but you got over it, obviously, and it worked.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Lori, how long did you well, you liked him to begin with when you saw his profile, and then you started talking, obviously. And then how long was it? How far apart did you live, and how long was it till you actually like went on a date?
Oh, yeah, it wasn't that long at all. Well, I remember it was the beginning of October when he reached out and I responded, oh my gosh, I loved your profile, but I'm talking to someone right now and I just like to focus on one person at a time. Well, that was a little white lie because I was actually talking to the divorcee and the never been married guy. But I didn't want to go there. And so he said, his reply was, fine, call me when the other thing doesn't work out.
Confident.
So
Something, it wasn't
something
quite
like that.
I said,
Not if.
Yeah.
Or call me when the other thing fizzles.
Yeah, call me when
Yes,
the other
call
thing
me when the
fizzles.
other thing fizzles. So
Wow.
I did try, I went on a couple dates with the divorcee and one with the never been married guy. And that quickly, I would say within a week or no more than 2 weeks of him reaching out to me, I realized these guys aren't it. And so I reached out to him and I said, the other thing fizzled.
That's so
And
cute.
we started emailing each other. We did a couple messages on Green Singles and then we started emailing regularly. And we had set up actually like, I think we set up a couple of
No,
dates.
date number one.
And date number one was near where he worked. And we were, by the way, I was 8 miles from him. Something like that. Yeah.
It's not
15 to
that-
20 minutes. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and in the DC metro area,
Yeah.
8 miles can be
Yeah. Brutal.
an hour. So
Yes.
Okay.
yeah.
But we set up a first date and probably within like a week or
A week or two. I mean,
Uh,
scheduling was tricky.
talking. Yeah.
Like I had to get a babysitter, right? So I could go on a date.
Yeah.
Yeah. How old were your kids?
5 and 8.
5 and 8 at that point, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. And Lori, before you joined the site, did you feel ready? Did you feel because I've been interviewing a lot of success story couples, and some had visions and just knew they were going to meet somebody, and others felt kind of totally detached, like, yeah, whether I'm complete within myself, whether it happens or not, it's okay.
I remember I had been in a relationship for 3.5 years. That broke off, and a couple months later, I got on Green Singles and met another person. And I remember after that long-term relationship ended, I remember thinking, well, I feel like there's somebody else out there for me. And hopefully, yeah, that's something's gonna happen. And then that one lasted a couple years. And when that one finally failed, I made my list of what I wanted in a mate July 2010. And I said, yep, he's coming to me. But I didn't get back on Green Singles yet until like 2 months later. But I looked at that list and I said, yes, he's coming to me. And September came, I saw his profile, but didn't reach out to him. When
Okay.
we started talking, yeah. And the other woo-woo moment, since we were talking about how long it took to have that first date, on the way to that first date, I said, I think I'm about to meet my future husband.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
I had
wow.
never ever felt that way before. It was just sort of this, yeah.
You sort of glossed over the email, like the
Oh,
messaging
yeah. Yeah,
was,
yeah.
they would like long, like almost every day, pretty lengthy emails back and forth. So we got to know each other pretty
Really
quickly
deeply.
through correspondence of sorts.
Yeah. And he appreciated that I proofread my
Like
emails.
yeah, the grammar and punctuation were spot on. Which matters. I hate to say it for me, and it matters
Matters
for
to
her
me.
too, right?
Are you a Virgo, John?
Yeah, maybe.
Yes.
You are?
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. Okay, that explains it.
Well, I hadn't really been in the dating site world, but pretty quickly you can just see that a lot of people are sloppy just
Yes.
with how they
Yeah.
Yeah.
describe themselves as like, do they care? Are they really, do they care or not? I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
about now. Now you just get the AI to write it for you, but
Hopefully not. I actually suggested that to someone and they're like, no way. And I'm like, good job. Because yeah, it's more authentic if we write it ourselves. But the proofreading and the spelling is a good point. A lot of people, if they don't do that, it can come across as you're not really caring, like you
Mhm.
said.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree.
Turn off. Yeah.
Okay. And did anything feel different about your connection, like right away? Like, it sounds like you knew going in, and then when you met, energetically, spiritually, intuitively, like anything feel like what you had that feeling on the way? That was amazing. And then what?
Yeah. Well, I also had my list of things, like there was so much I wanted to talk to him about. So I had a list of things to discuss with him. And let's just say that date was, I think it was 4 hours long.
I
It was at
think I had
least
to call the
3.
sitter to extend.
Yeah. I mean, and it just went by so fast. And,
Wow.
I think it was after that that we started the long phone calls. And I mean, I don't think I'd ever done this in my life. We would talk for hours and until like after midnight, 1 o'clock, I think sometimes. And he's like, he's got to get up early. He's
It's
got kids
exhausting.
to deal with.
Yeah.
But it was like we just couldn't stop talking.
Yeah.
That's,
Well, we
I
wouldn't
think
start till after the kids were asleep too,
Yeah.
right? So
sure. Right. Right. But that's such a great sign when you have that kind of connection that you just, it's hard to put the phone down, right?
Yeah.
It's like, when you say goodbye like 3 different times already, and then again, okay, then something, you think of something else, and then again, like 10
Yes.
times later, you're finally hanging up the phone and kind of begrudgingly that you have to go to sleep and you can't talk more.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that's precious. I love it. Good. So then was there a moment when you just knew for sure this like went like this is it?
Well, date number 3, he told me he loved me. He
Oh,
told me he loved me.
yeah, it happened pretty quickly though.
Yeah.
I was still holding on to a lot of grief, and I mean, it took me, well, it doesn't really end, honestly, but it took a while for me to sort of metabolize that enough that I felt like, okay, I can commit to this one person. So
Yeah. And
so it's hard for me to answer that
yeah.
question,
Yeah.
and it's kind of hard to put myself back in that time and remember it too.
And I
It's a
mean, we
lot.
met when I was 44 and I had never been married. And, I had so many failed relationships. But when I look back at those, it's like, oh my God, thank God, that
Uh-huh.
boy, dodged a bullet there. And so I think the one thing that I felt with him that I'd never felt with anybody else was that I felt just so confident in our relationship and how he felt about me. He was very open and honest with his feelings from the beginning. And I mean, and this was another thing about his profile. He just put it all out there. And I mean, I feel like I kind of did too,
Yeah.
but you definitely more than me. And then when those emails started, he also was like, okay, here's what you need to know about, you know, my wife, my late wife. And I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared away or anything like that. I feel like when a date would end in the past with other guys, I would have an insecurity, like, how do they really feel about me? Will I see them again? You know, where's this going? Never felt that way with him. Always had a confidence, like, he really liked me. He was interested in me and me alone. And, you know, he wanted to see me again.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't like, oh my gosh, are we gonna get married, or, you know, or how long is this gonna take? And it wasn't, it was just like, it was just a feeling I just felt very comfortable with him.
Right.
Yeah.
And I
Sure.
was 43 when
When
Amy
she
died,
died,
44
yeah.
when we met. Yeah, and so the choice to get back into the dating scene at that point was like, I had nothing to lose. I'm just gonna put it all out there. I'm gonna curate my profile, I guess, to put my best foot forward, but you know, seeing a therapist like a lot. And I was like, you know, I want to meet somebody. I want to get back into dating, but I'm not sure. And just at this age, you know, I'm probably going to meet some divorced woman with kids and all this baggage. And literally, like, she's like taking notes. And I said, "Oh, you know, I'm going to find someone with all this baggage." She like puts down her notes, takes off her glasses. She says, "I'm sorry, who has the baggage?" So she totally broke the fourth wall or whatever the equivalent is with a shrink, and made me realize like, oh yeah, I'm the
Right.
difficult one now. Yeah. So at that point, it's just like why hide it? And also just sort of like this sense of time, you know, like going through that loss, I became really acutely sort of aware of we don't know how much we get, right? And so
Yeah.
why fuck around? Excuse my French, right? I'm just gonna like, here's all my stuff, all the good stuff and all the shit. And if you can tolerate it, great. And if not, I don't have time to really spend much more time here.
Excellent.
That was really sort of how I was, and I didn't really like set out with that intention, you know, it was like after the fact, I was like, oh, I think that was the intention I had sort of implicitly made for myself. And with Lori, I could do that and just feel uninhibited, I guess.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Do you remember, John, what you did? Because Lori didn't have any doubts where she stood with you. And I think that's really important for a lot of men sometimes have a challenge expressing themselves and sharing their emotions so easily as you did. So do you have any tips for guys watching, like what you did to let her know that you were so interested and like it was safe and she could be okay and comfortable and let her hair down and share who she was too? Or if you remember what he did, Lori.
Well, first of all, one thing that comes to mind is that 5 years before I met him, a really good friend of mine died and left behind a husband and three girls. So when I met him, I kind of knew what that was like. And her two youngest were like our son's age, you know, his son's age. So I kind of wasn't afraid. And I also kind of knew, you know, you need to honor that person who died. And so here's the thing. I knew he still loved Amy. I knew I'd see pictures of Amy around the house, but he always made me feel special. And he never, to this day, he has never accidentally called me Amy. And I just always, and he never compared me to her. He just told me how much he loved me and, you know, and what he loved about me.
That's something that's tangible.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think there's good role models on how to be a man. You know, what does it mean to be
Mhm.
how to channel masculinity and use the power and strength that comes with it. the courage and vitality, the protector, person, the warrior, whatever, image you want to use, and also be the lover, be the vulnerable person too, right? Like those can all coexist. And the being a vulnerable masculine man doesn't undermine also being a man of strength and power and being a protector and provider and all those other things. I think we struggle to find a good role model who can sort of demonstrate that. And so I think going through not the early grief, but sort of the second phase of it, I guess. And I had no choice but to be vulnerable and authentic through that, So I think just being that person maybe helped Lori feel safe to be who she needed to be too,
And he would sometimes say, if you just decide to.
Yeah, it's like, Lori, if you decide you've had enough of this, like, I totally get it, right?
And
it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And this was after we were married. He would say, he would even say that, like, I know this is a lot. Because you're dealing with two grieving kids
we had
too.
two kids, like, and teenage, like, so
Yeah.
the cute little
5 and 8 year olds.
They didn't last long, right? So Lori had,
Baptism by fire. I was
so
airdropped in, is what we said.
as a mom for these two boys that were going through their own experience of grief, and just being a teenager is no good thing for many kids, and it was tough in this house. And so getting through that together as a couple was a struggle, I would say, at times,
But I never felt like, never ever was I like, I'm out of here.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm getting a couple things that I think are important. When you shared that you loved her early on and you shared your feelings for her and told her how much you cared about her, to me, that feels very masculine, because it's an actual, masculinity is doing, and you're putting it out there and you're not afraid. You're confident. You're telling her how you really feel in that moment. And yet sometimes I think it's seen like guys aren't supposed to share their feelings, but to me, what I'm getting is when you were sharing how you felt about her, that was very masculine.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And I think our culture doesn't reinforce that.
Well, and that's why interviews like this are so great, because you've been married 15 years and you've been
through 15 years ago this October, it's now May, and our 12-year wedding anniversary is coming up in 2 weeks.
Woo! Yeah, June's such a popular month to get married, it seems like. Okay, good. And you guys, I would assume that you have a lot of things in common and you had great compatibility from the beginning. Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, the nice thing about green singles, and there are probably other sort of niche dating sites, is there's sort of a filter. Who even's gonna choose to put their profile up there? Whatever the things you check off in terms of your interests and whatever, you're already inside, a value space, if you will, around what's important, and a lot of other sort of values sort of come along for the ride, right? If you're sort of pro environment, say, there's a high correlation to other things, so I think that was true for us.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about this earlier, how I want to compare this site to a grocery store. So you could shop, if you go to Wegmans, you can, there is the organic section, but there's also the huge conventional section. And when I go to Wegmans, I get overwhelmed because there's too much selection. But when I go to my local food co-op, it's a mile from here, it's like, it's got limited
size.
It's limit, and it's like, I know everything there is good and it's been researched and it's good for me, and it's fair trade and organic and all the good stuff, and the employees there are being paid well. Okay. Well, when you look at the big dating sites, it's just like, it's a full-time job, as I've been told. I was never on them, but it's a full-time job trying to find somebody. and it's a needle, and if you're an environmentalist, it's a needle in a haystack. And so thank God I found Green Singles, because I knew right there I would find somebody who cared about the planet and probably had a lot of the other values that I shared. And I mean, and it was also just like the little things. Like I'd come over to his house and he'd have the same cleaning products that I did, that I bought. You know, I'm like, okay, cool, he gets it.
Yes.
Right.
He's not just talking it, he's actually living it.
Yes, he
Yeah.
walked the talk. He walked the talk.
Mm.
Yeah, it was things like I had done a little bit of camping. He liked camping and he really knows how to camp. And so I was excited to, you know, like he gets out the camp stove and he does the breakfast in the morning and, you know, he's serious about it. Whereas like previous boyfriend, you know, he like packs the peanut butter and jelly sandwich camping. It's like, oh my God, come on. But it was also, we both like wine, and he named some of his haunts that he would go to for, you know, hanging out. And I knew some of them, and you know, just movies and just,
Yeah.
I don't know, just going for walks and travel and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Mhm. So a lot of common interest for sure.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. But also he's just so easy to talk to. And I've said to him, if like everything just collapsed around us and I just had you to talk to, I'd be good.
Uh,
I'd be good.
yeah, I think that's huge. I think
Yeah.
if you don't have that in a relationship,
Yeah.
it's not right. I don't, I think that would be a good prerequisite to feel that way, I think.
Yeah. Oh, and one of the things that was really important is when we had emailed before our first date, I started talking about the 5 love languages, which I know has been debunked and whatever, but things that are important to us, we definitely spoke a lot of the same love languages, like, you know, words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of service. We're both like, don't need any gifts.
Okay.
Yeah, heck with that.
And quality time is also important to us. But you know, that's really important. And we still every day hug in the morning. Like one of us is usually up before the other. So when we first see each other, first thing in the morning, we
Make an intention
to
hug
hug
each other. Yeah.
and kiss. And then we
Uh,
always kiss goodnight before going to bed. When anybody leaves, we kiss goodbye.
that's sweet.
Well
Yeah.
said.
So what do you guys appreciate most about each other?
His sense of humor.
Ah,
And he's multi-talented. He's wicked smart, but he's a great writer and speaker. But he's also like an amazing handyman. He can just fix anything, look at a YouTube video and figure it out and do it. But like later today, my sister's coming over. We're making dinner, and like he's gonna make the dinner, and he likes to entertain as much as I do. And we work really well together where, you know, he's got the cooking and I'm doing, you know, I'm doing my thing and doing the appetizers and, you know, setting things up and making it look pretty.
She's front of the house, I'm back of the
Yeah,
house.
exactly. Yeah.
good team.
Mhm.
Yeah, we really complement each other well when it comes to entertaining. And
Mhm.
like I said, we both like to entertain, so that's good.
That helps.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like where you've got the one partner and they're running the show and the other one's sitting in front of the TV.
Yeah,
Do anything. Yeah, it's not like that.
much more fun to do it together.
Yes.
What about you, John?
Well, is this PG-13 or NC-17?
Anything goes.
I mean,
It's
she's
just,
hot as shit. Look at her, right?
I know, she's gorgeous.
So,
Oh, yeah, and I am attracted to him. Very
I
attracted
mean, I
to
don't want to just
him.
focus on the physical, but I gotta be honest, physical's
Yeah.
great.
Well,
Important.
you liked her picture to begin with and in her
Yeah,
bikini.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
this is, I don't know, egotistical maybe, or I don't know what this is, but just walking down the street with Lori next to me, I know I've got the hottest woman around, right? So, I mean, that sounds possessive and cocky and whatever, but it's honest.
Yeah. I'm more attracted to him now than I was when we met 15
Same.
years ago.
Same.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's aging quite well.
And so he's been working out Looking good.
But I
Great.
don't know, goofy sense of humor. She's like she lives her values for sure, right? Just is very consistent in how to approach life and manage a life with those values, right? And the decisions we make and what we buy or where we go, what we do, very consistent. I would venture that she is many people's best friend. She's so outgoing and personable and just easy to talk to and be with. She just cares deeply about other people and animals and us, just that. Just there's a deep reservoir of care. Yeah.
The undercurrent of what I'm getting from both of you about the other is not only the deep love and reverence, but you respect each other.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
yeah. Which I think that's a core aspect of a relationship that works is that mutual respect and admiration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just talking to someone about him yesterday, and I said he was worth the wait. And like, I got a really good one. We are open and honest. We don't hide anything from each other, and we express our feelings, and we've gotten even better about communicating with each other. I appreciate that about him.
Mhm.
And the other thing is that I think also helps us is that we both meditate, we both journal. Physical exercise is really important to us, and keeping our mind, being mindful. Yeah, like we joke about when I met him, I was Lori 1.0. I'm now Lori 2.0, striving for Lori 3.0.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's this mutual commitment to personal growth
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
like we're not like, oh, we've sort of reached this plateau and we're good. This feeling of how whatever it is, the love, the connection, I'm confident 100% it's just going to continue to accelerate, right? It's like I don't have any doubt that it's going to just keep going. And like early on, I don't know if I would have felt that way. I would have felt like this is great. And we're at this great plateau and we're dealing with kids and we're dealing with parents and all this other shit in our lives. But we're good sort of here. And I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like we've sort of reached some sort of escape velocity and we're just moving.
Anything's possible.
Yeah. Like the confidence with that is hard to describe.
I get it because it's if you were each alone still, there's a certain amount of personal growth you can do on your own. But when you're together as a team and that's a mutual goal, then you encourage each other and push each other up. And no, we're not there yet. And look, and it's more motivating when there's a partner you're working with together. And you can also use each other as a mirror, right? Oh, did you see this or did you notice that when you said this happened? Or do you have a technique for dealing with triggers when they come up? I'm sure that was in the early days. It probably happened quite a bit and maybe less now, I would imagine.
I find myself being less reactive now. I'm a way better person now as a result of having him in my life. He's just been such a good influence. I've learned things from him, and he's called me out on stuff in a very gentle way. And sometimes it's hard to hear, but it's like, oh, wow. Okay. Huh. Point taken. And other times I was a little defensive, but then I'm like, damn it, he had a good point. Gosh darn it. But I think I try and hold on it. Like if I feel triggered about something, I may let some time pass and not say anything, not react. And then I'll maybe talk to him, whether it's a couple hours later or a day later, and say, look, I want to talk to you about yesterday. And this is what was going through my mind, and blah, blah, blah. And we just talk it out. As a result of reading we've done and other stuff, I realized, oh, why did I feel that way? Or why did I have that reaction? Oh, it was society, how they programmed me. And that's why I'm being triggered, or, just stuff in my past. And I realized, sorry, okay.
So it's probably fair to just share, individually and as couples, we've had plenty of therapy.
Yeah.
And then our ongoing self-improvement projects, so it's not just me telling something to you or whatever. And
Yeah.
I've learned a lot about myself through Lori as well, and so I'm not sure I would use the word trigger necessarily, but when we would get into some conflict of a nature, I think early on I would lean into sort of the classic man goes into his man cave and doesn't talk for a while and makes her suffer as a result,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
so yeah, and anyway, but now I don't know. I don't know what I don't remember a moment when I said I need to stop doing that or whatever. That's not really working. It's not helpful or whatever. So we've also experienced the loss of both of our parents over time. My parents recently both died, and that was the most recent sort of trigger. Was I was in a wobbly place emotionally. Lori did something that normally we could have just talked through in the moment, but I went into that place and I realized I'm not in a good place to really have a complex conversation about a disagreement at all. And I sort of want to restart it. And so I think 5 years ago or 10 years ago, if that had happened, we probably wouldn't be speaking to each other for days, right? And now within hours, and this was like a really emotionally charged experience because my parents had just died, right? And so they died within 24 hours of each other. It was just amazing coincidence. But anyway, like dealing with an interpersonal relationship thing, right in the middle of all that is not a good idea. Being able to catch myself is something I wouldn't have been able to do probably when we met.
Well, and yeah, bless your parents. You did email me the story and
Oh, that's right. I did share that with her.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the
watched the
movie.
eulogy that you did, and oh my gosh, it was just heartfelt, touching, beautiful, amazing. And yeah, thank you for sharing that with me. And I've lost my parents too. I know can be rough. Mine's quite a while ago, but still, it's like you've been, especially when they're both gone, it's like kind of I felt like an orphan, like, okay, now I'm an orphan. They're both, it's even in our older years, it's funny that still feel that way, but whatever, it's touching and special and beautiful. And I'm glad you could be there for them as well and experience that and be present because, and yeah, when things come up or, challenges in the relationship happen and one is in a very emotional state, that's a really good point. Like, it's not a good time to have a discussion or an argument. Just let it go till later when you feel like you can actually have a real discussion and work through it.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So do you guys, do you have any other regular practices that you do together?
We don't really have a specific ritual as a couple on a daily basis, other than the
kissing.
hugging and kissing and the saying I love you and all that. They're more situational, I think. We go up to the Finger Lakes. We have a place up there, and so being at the end of the dock at sunset is like that's a ritual.
Yes. He introduced me to sunsets. I never realized how amazing sunsets were. I mean, of course I had seen sunsets, but I never really realized how important they are and beautiful they are. And when you're on a lake, you can see so much. And that is our entertainment. So this is a place we've had since 2016. And we try to go up there pretty frequently. And when we go, like every night, it's like, are we gonna get a sunset tonight?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like you plan your day around the sunset.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, cloudy, no sunset tonight. But when we realize we're gonna get a sunset, we are out at the end of that dock, just one with nature and just can hang out for a long time. And it's so beautiful. Yeah. And if I'm up there and he's not, I'll take a picture of the sunset and text it to him.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, like what you would tell people that maybe were in similar situations as both of you. Like Lori never married before at 44 and John widowed at 44 when you met anyway. And what would you give, like, how would you tell people that were looking and maybe afraid to go online and try it, a niche site specifically, because I agree the mainstream sites, it's too hard to find somebody with the same values. So what would you tell people to inspire them to give it a try?
What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose? I made my list of what I wanted in a mate. And when I was making my list, he was making his
I
list.
actually had a list too.
Yeah. And we
Oh,
shared this during
nice.
one of those really long phone conversations early on, like a month in, we talked about our list. I was his list and he was mine. It was eerie. It
Yeah.
was eerie.
Mhm.
And so I guess what I would say is, I think it's important to get clear about what you want in your partner. And I made my list based on what was good in previous partners and what I didn't like in previous partners and realized I needed, and probably some other stuff thrown in there for good measure. And I just believed they're coming to me. I know this person, I'm gonna meet this person. And so to me, I would say make your list of what you want in a mate, and then, get your profile up, work with someone. If you're not so good at writing, have them proofread it, make it interesting, but like, don't be afraid to bare your soul and just like put it out there.
Yeah.
Just put it out there, because like that way then the person knows who the authentic you is. And don't lie about your age.
Yes.
Just be open and honest, so then you're start off on the right footing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, because they're going to find out eventually. So
You'd
Exactly.
think, yeah.
if you lie right up front, you're starting it off with misrepresentation, and that's
Yeah.
just stupid. Don't do it.
Well, if you're looking for anything more than a,
Fling.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't matter, but
Yeah.
it's sort of cliche, the end of the Beatles song, the love you take is equal to the love you make, right? Is
Yeah.
true, right? And I think the vulnerability part of it is something people have a real hard time sort of dealing with, right? And it's scary, right? And it's scary to put yourself out there, and it's scary to think about being rejected and all of that. And our culture and the way social media sort of curates everybody's best selves, right? Like the feeling of competition and comparison and am I worthy and all that stuff, I think can really get in our heads and confuse us. There's no real magic to get beyond that, right? Other than all the self-help books and therapy and podcasts and whatever, whatever seems to work or resonate. But at the end of the day, if you're not willing to take that leap of faith, right, then you need to figure out how to build the confidence to do it, I guess,
Right, right. Because if you don't risk it, nothing's going to happen.
Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah.
That's just pointless. Then just don't even try. Don't be on a dating site if you're not willing to be authentic and put your real self out there and
Yes.
risk it a bit.
Right.
Otherwise, you're just spinning your wheels, right?
We all get shot. Like I got rejected plenty before Lori. I mean, I don't know plenty, but I wasn't dating that long, but still, right? And I have friends who've,
Not had
gone
luck.
through divorce and whatnot. And, it is hard, especially when you get to your 40s or 50s. But
It's
yeah.
kind of like sales. Like I was in sales in my, early adulthood, and that's part of sales is you get no's, you get rejected. You take so many no's to get a yes, depending on what type of sales one is in.
You need your marketing funnel, so you get 1,000 impressions to get 100 contacts, to
Yeah.
get 10 leads, to get one date or whatever.
There you go. And if we look at it more in a pragmatic way like
Yeah.
that, and not take it so personally when we do get rejected, it's very healthy, a healthy way to look at it.
Yeah.
And it's go ahead.
I just one quick anecdote. So a friend of mine, good friend of ours, I guess, he went through a divorce in his 50s, and he was just like, who wants to date a 50-year-old man? I was like, I think a lot of people want to date you, Jim. Oops,
Definitely.
I shouldn't say his name. Edit that out. I don't think many people want to date you. I think a lot would want to date you. And so we're big baseball fans. And I said to him, you haven't even had that many at bats yet, right? You just need to get at bats. If you're not
Right.
striking out like half the time's up, you're playing the wrong league, right? You want to be getting shot down 70% of the time. If you're not getting blown off 70% of the time, you're not
You're not trying.
you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he
Well,
created a spreadsheet and all that. I mean, he's a real data nerd like I am. So it was fun, right? And so, but we were able to sort of gamify it a little bit, and so that the rejection was just part of the data set, you know?
nice. Yeah. Yeah. It's so great. You're putting up the best side reminded me of Chris Rock used to do a gig, and it was so funny because he would say when two people go to meet on a date, they send their representatives, not themselves. It's like their best version of themselves, and the representatives meet each other, put up this good front, and then they go away and they still don't even know each other because it was just their representatives.
Yeah, that's
God,
good.
that's so good.
Cut
So
the
good.
crap and just be yourself.
Yes, because then you know that person likes you for your authentic self.
Yes, yes. It's too much work not to do that. You
It's
know, who wants to
exhausting.
work that hard?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Well, what have you guys like? A lot of times people, the success story couples that have over the 25 years that the sites have been up and I've been doing this, they oftentimes will say that because they came together, instead of 1 + 1 equaling 2, it equals more like 2000. It's like, and they tend to do and create things bigger and better than they would have done by themselves. Do you guys have anything along those lines that you maybe wouldn't have done on your own that you did and you are doing, or because of each other being together?
Getting our lake house.
Yeah, that wouldn't have happened.
I always wanted to have a place by the water.
Oh,
And it's kind of, well, and it wouldn't have happened. We won't go into the long story because we're looking at the time, but it was kind of because of his love of baseball and friends of mine who lived up in the Finger Lakes region of New York that we were able to discover the area where we bought our lake house. Yeah.
mm,
And now and whenever we go there, we want to cry
Yeah.
because it's so beautiful. And and again, it's a special place for us to enjoy sunsets. So yes, I would not have done that. Had he not been in my life, I wouldn't have had that.
yeah.
He, I moved to him and, because that was one of the things he said in his profile that, he's not willing to relocate. And I was like, fine. Because I love his town. I knew his town. I love his town. It's probably the greenest city in the greenest county in a pretty
Greeny state.
greeny state. So boy, that was attractive. And if it weren't for him, I wouldn't know so many people. Like I can't get over, our neighborhood is like a little city. And because of him living here, I have met so many people. And it's great. It's a little village here.
I love that.
I think for me, when she and I met, I was on a certain career path that I'm not now. And it's for more than one reason, not just because of Lori, but I think how I feel about relationships and how important relationships are in general, not just our relationship, but in general, is I can credit Lori and she'll.
He said in the beginning, I have enough friends. I don't need any more.
She had so many friends and it was just exhausting, right? Plus another family to meet and all that, right?
And now he's got so many friends and they're his friends.
I think I learned that.
Yeah.
That's where the value of life lives, with the relationships.
There's really other people in your life.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's so important. That's a huge gift.
Yeah.
Nice. That's so cute. Oh, well, and your life, it just sounds like you've created such a beautiful life together. And so which state are you in now?
We're in
And
Maryland.
oh, you're in Maryland. Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you are still near DC kind of.
Yeah.
Yes, we're a
Yeah.
mile from the DC border. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay. Okay. Great. Great. Yeah. Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story and it being inspirational to so many people watching because it can be challenging and kind of
Yeah.
lonely and like you were saying, kind of daunting almost like to get out there and especially after a widow or a divorce. Not that that's you, Lori, but in general, just people that are going through so much trauma. And did you feel like ready, John, like at least ready at a certain point, like, okay, I'm ready to move on and get online? And what was it? What was
No, I
your,
wasn't.
you weren't,
I
you just
I mean,
weren't.
honestly, I was lonely
Did
and I wanted a
anything.
date for the holidays.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was it. So
Yeah.
I was not looking for a life partner at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but you had a list.
I had a list
Yeah,
of
list.
what I wanted in a mate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I fall in love fast. So I probably was delusional. Uh,
You
uh,
are so lucky this worked, John. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's
But you
amazing.
know, after my the relationship I had before I met him, after that one fizzled for good, I just felt like, you know what? Nope. I really do believe, I just kept my relationship just kept getting better, and being more of what I wanted in a relationship. And I'm like, there is somebody else out there for me. He is out there. There is somebody better than this one that is going to be a better match for me. And I just know I'm going to meet them. And I just had that positive attitude. But also like there was a part of me that was prepared, like, and if this doesn't work out and I'm just gonna be a single gal living on my own for the rest of my life, oh well. But
Yeah.
you know what? I really do think there's more to it.
Yeah. Okay. That's great because it's that combination. And this is what I'm seeing the trend to be, where a lot of people have the list and yet they also feel whole and complete and they're somewhat detached. It's if I'm interviewing people and like, okay, I'm going to find the secret here, what it takes, the secret sauce. I think that's part of it anyway, is to be ready and feel complete, but and have a list and know exactly what you're looking for and know it's done.
Yeah.
And then on the other side, to just kind of let it go and be
Yeah.
okay if it doesn't happen.
Well, and I knew I had to say, I was like, I had the confidence. I'm like, I'm a damn good catch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Good.
and like his late wife, she was amazing. She was
I marry
amazing.
pretty well, I should say.
Yes. And I think another person may have been intimidated by her. Because yeah, she was wicked smart and very involved and knew a lot of people and just multi-talented again, and the mother of the boys. And I remember sitting at my dining room table saying to him, you know what? I know she was amazing, but I think I have a lot to offer too. And not like he was doubting me, but I just like needed to say that to him that, I'm not her. And um, I've got my own special gifts and talents and
Yeah.
yeah,
You have,
I am nothing like her.
yeah, that's
Oh, you
great.
both have green hazel eyes.
What's that?
Uh, I seem attracted to women with green or hazel eyes. So
Oh, I gotcha. That's cute. Yeah.
I wanted to add maybe a little coda to I wasn't looking for a lifetime mate and that sort of thing.
Just a date for the holidays.
Just a day for the holidays. Maybe a little, I don't know however you want to think about that, but I think we have in our culture this understanding that you can't change the other person. Don't get into a relationship expecting to change the other person, which is true. But what's also true is that the other person's going to change. Right. And so I think, and especially at where we are in the lifespan, right? Like in our 40s and our 50s, stuff's changing. Right. And so to
Yeah.
be with a partner who I can be completely open and honest with about what's going on for me and for you to do the same,
Yeah.
has been a real gift, you know, and I think, and I know because some friends who might confide in me can't share certain things with their partner
Mm,
or spouse for whatever reason. They're afraid to divulge this
mm.
secret or issue or whatever it is. And we don't have that. So as we get older and go through getting older, this is the right person.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, that's where the unconditional love comes in.
Yeah.
And you trust each other so much that you can share anything and everything, and that's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Well, yeah, Patrick, good job, team. Well done, well done. Well, I just love talking with you guys and sharing your story with people, and I'm happy for you. I mean, you met 15 years ago on my site, and I just love
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
grateful to finally be interviewing success story couples like you guys. Like, I had that idea a little like a year ago, and I'm like, why don't I do that? That would be fantastic. And
Yeah.
it's so interesting and inspiring. And it's the best thing to encourage people to join the site, is to hear from people that it
Yeah,
works.
it works. So,
Yeah.
It does work.
Yeah. So thank you again. And may you continue to have a beautiful, wonderful life together. Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
thank you.
Thank you.
I've been interviewing success story couples now to celebrate 25 years in business. If you've been feeling guided, pulled, drawn, pushed, whatever it is, to meet your special person, then I invite you to become a free member and check out my site. It's much better, much different than mainstream dating sites. You can meet somebody that matches your values, your lifestyle, your energy, your frequency. I mean, we're not mainstream, so check it out. You'll like it. Meet the person you are destined to be with. We'd love to have you as a member. And maybe one of these days I'll be interviewing you as a success story with your soul-aligned partner. I would love that. Welcome in advance. Sign up now and let me know when you meet your special someone.